Perfect. Okay, so I just had to reset it because my mouse froze. That's something I gotta figure out. My computer froze in the middle of the trading last time too. And
Ouch. That's
yeah,
not good.
yeah. So okay, I'm just gonna
Cool, man.
do a quick intro, bro, for anybody that's listening for the first time. Just post it on Twitter if anybody wants help one on one, and I'm more than happy to help. And this brother here was one of the ones that messaged, and I'm very happy. I'm looking at like some of the inbox stuff that he's sending. This is gonna be a. I'm excited for this. This is gonna be a good session because he has his entries, he has his thought process. So I could tell you've been trading for a bit longer period than an
Right.
average person, and yeah, more than happy to get into it. So you want to start anything you want to say about yourself, how long you've been trading for, give me an idea, and maybe what kind of trading style you do, short term, long term, how long your hold is, or anything you want to say. It's up to you.
Sure. Sure. So I will start with sharing how long I have been trading or studying for trading basically. Basically, to be honest with you, I've started trading consistently, like on daily basis, starting this year. But I actually started studying for trading back in 2017.
Mm,
Then there were a few things happening in my personal life, and plus I do have a full time job as well.
mm-hmm,
So I took a lot of time to invest in my studying for before getting my feet into the game. And one of the main reasons was that I kind of drove myself pretty crazy about learning the tape. I thought that was one of the really basic skills that everyone, like at least I need to have, because I saw a lot of value there.
mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people. I know every person has different opinion about tape. Some say it's
Right,
really important, some say it's not.
right.
Um, so that's basically how I. So that's basically how long I've been doing. How long I've been trading and studying for trading. Besides that, I would like to. I'm a more of a short term trader. So basically, I like to play. I'm more of a momentum trader. I would say. So I use technical analysis, fundamentals, just to kind of like, just to know myself, just to familiarize myself with the company, the balance sheets, if they have any outstanding warrants or ATMs, right? I don't think I'm the best at the fundamental analysis, like nothing like Rookie Analog and some of these guys on
Mm,
YouTube. Even though I do have a lot of respect for that guy because he did put out. I learned a lot from him, especially from the YouTube channel.
mm,
But at the mainly, I will basically the way I use fundamental, like usually keep that in the back of my head.
mm-hmm,
But I will not like just because the warrants are exercisable at 4, I'm gonna start shorting at 4. I wanna see the confirmation at price.
mm-hmm.
Uh, and but basically my average holding time is probably like, maybe from somewhere within minutes to half an hour. Usually I am watching, usually I try to not play pre-market.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll go over one of my charts, and that's something that I would like to talk to you about because I basically got into a position in pre-market and I did not cover anything,
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted it more and more. I wanted it to go down further,
Mm-hmm.
basically, and it ended up turning on me, and I took it up for a small loss.
Mm-hmm.
But my main time usually is right at the open to like 10:30 because I don't like to sit through the low period. And as I said, like usually when I'm trading, I'm working the same time. So sometimes I'm basically on in meetings and I'm trading at the same time. So sometimes it does kind of get crazy. And like, and there are days where I will wake up and I'll be prepared and I will get this one call in which I have to present something, and the next thing I cannot retrace the open, so I will just like let it go. So it's a bit of a bit of a battle from my side because I do have a full time job, and I'm doing these trading. But luckily, I get to work from home 3 days a week. Even besides this, when this whole coronavirus thing happened, I usually work 3 days a week, so that kind of gives me an advantage.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I think that's about it that I would like to share, man. Nothing, there's not much more. And I think I'm still on my journey to find consistency. And as I said, like sometimes I feel really good about my plate, and sometimes when I do these silly mistakes which I've done in the past, I just come back to like ground zero because I'm like, oh, I thought I was over this, but like clearly I'm not. And I feel like that's just like a continuous, constant journey that every trader kind of deals with because I have like like heard some podcasts about like some of these really profitable traders who are consistently profitable for many years, and they always talk about like getting out of the zone and doing the same mistake which they done, and they took a big bad loss, a big hit or something like that. So just trying to like so basically at the moment I'm just trying to get more comfortable with my trading, with size, basically, even though I'm not trading as much as size as some of you guys do, because my understanding is like, better to start small. So if I lose something, it was more than a lesson compared to like, getting wiped out of the game in one shot. Um, and yeah, I think that should be it from my side, man.
Okay. Well, first off, thank you. Thank you for coming on voice. Not many people are able to do that
Yeah,
because
no
it's
problem,
nerve
man.
wracking. And the second thing to reiterate is you are a fundamental short seller. You are starting at it, or you're at a medium level, and you are
Uh,
wise enough to, when you see the overhead supply, you don't necessarily just short blindly off of that. You would like to see a confirmation, and
yeah,
then you like to join. And the other thing
correct.
I caught that you said something which, being very blunt. By the way, everything I say here, don't take it to heart. Me and you are on the same team, so
Mhm,
you can't say things nicely and get the point across. So if I'm rude,
mhm,
never take it to heart. So one thing that I
mhm.
didn't like you said is you don't know your average hold is either a minute to 20 minutes. So that tells me that you don't use TraderView to keep track of your stats.
So basically, on TradeView, I actually just started entering my trades in May. Basically, I actually have a trade. I actually have my page open. So you know what? As of now, because since I just started doing it in May, um,
Why
like
don't
I
you
would
upload
like
the
to
Why don't you upload the April?
April. Dude, you know what? Actually, hold on. I'm actually on my TradeView right now. TradeView, Trader Dash, report view, right? That's report detail. So I'm just using like the base. What do you call it? Just the base pack. Like
Yeah,
the base version of
because
it.
they
So
calculate. Yeah.
yeah. So the average hold time that I see over here for my winning trade is 24 minutes, and average hold time for my losing trade is like 19 minutes. And
Okay.
average hold time for my scratch trade is less than 20 seconds, basically. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Scratch was
But
20 seconds. Is that what you said?
I'm sorry, say it again.
What was 20 seconds?
Average hold time for my scratch trade, the
Okay.
scratch trade.
Okay. So that tells me a lot, bro. That tells me, well, what's your winning accuracy?
Let me see. My number of winning trades is 60%.
Okay.
Um, and my
So
number
you
of
are,
losing trades is 20%.
yeah, that's what it would be for some. So you are a fundamental short seller that has a bigger picture thesis, and it's similar to. So I meet all kinds of people. Some people um, that are they think they are hold for a long period of time, or people that are scalpers are trying to transition. So I could just see why some of the variables, some of the stats, and the way you posted the things in the inbox, which I
Mm-hmm.
was reading. I hope that's okay. I put it on the screen so I can read it.
Yeah,
Um,
that's fine. That's fine.
is yeah, you're a fundamental short seller and you're trying to improve. Um,
Yeah.
okay, so you do need to put your April uh, thing, and you can't improve without looking at your past. So I'm glad that you are using the trader view now, and it is something I would think it's a must. It's mandatory. Um, well, what am I saying? It's yeah, it's a must. If you're trying to improve, it's a must. It's you have to do it.
Right.
It benefits in multiple aspects. It's the only way to grow.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's
So,
what we are. What are
so
some?
one thing I would like to add for the trade review because as I mentioned, I just started using trade review like the first week of May.
Mhm.
So I actually had to go to my broker's website, download my PNL document and export it and export it as like a CSV file and Excel file,
Yeah.
right? So I'm just looking at it, and because I had to do that, and it did not really pick up my executions, right? I'm like for some reason it's not giving me any average hold time from April. But if I were to do the whole filter for like until today, which kind of brings in all my May plays as well, that's when the average hold time and average hold time for winning trades and losing trades come in as well. So
So
that's just something because
so
for
so
the April
April
plays,
April play doesn't show up when you select it.
yeah. So and you know what, bro? I will show you. I will send you a screenshot. Okay, I'll
Okay.
send you a screenshot of this.
It's likely a technical issue or some file is not taken in the
Yeah,
correct
because
way.
Yeah, so I actually trade with Cobra Broker.
Okay.
That's my broker that I use. And basically, DAS is my execution platform. I use TOP for charting. Um, and nothing fancy, just candlesticks, support resistance, and VWAP, and just volume. Basically, my main go-to tool is price action. I'm really big on that, and that's something I would like to actually keep working on. I always record my tapes and rewatch my tapes all over again, and then
Do
I
you
always feel
recap?
like sorry, do I?
Do you recap after you're done trading? Do you write down? Like I see you do actually. You take a screenshot,
Yeah,
which is a
so
good habit.
yeah, take a screenshot. I will take I will have my like entries and my like covers, whatever. Like if I took a loss and why I took a loss, where I think I messed up, um, and basically from my plays from April till today, what happened was I got caught in two. I was playing like these two tickers, which happened to be like the really high volume tickers. One of them was YTEN. Um, and yeah, it was YTEN in April 27th, and then the next one was MVIS on May 5th. And on both of those days, I remember I think it was Monday and Wednesday. I took like my daily max loss, which was like set at $500 because that's something I have set it with my broker.
Yeah, that's good.
Um, and there was just like a lot of battling and mental exhaustion, man. Those
Wait,
I hated those figures.
what's your daily loss?
What's my maximum loss is $500, dude, at the moment.
It cuts out. Can you say that one more time?
It cut yeah. So my daily max loss, I'm a broker is set at $500. Yeah,
Okay, so that's pretty good, because you're that means you can take like three, four, two to four trades, three to four trades. Okay,
yeah.
based on your standard deviation stuff. Yeah, I do see your accuracy is good, but it's not enough sample size. You have no idea what your accuracy is for April or the
Yeah.
past, do you?
No, no, you know what? I would say, like as you said, the sample size usually because I do some data tracking as well. So in terms of like having a good hold of my how my average what do you call? I'm sorry, how my how accurate these stats are. I would definitely wait until like at least May ends or like maybe 2 more months in which I'm actually trading like like 80%, 90% of the time. But as I mentioned, that sometimes because I work full time, so there are days where I cannot really. I will be watching the market, but I will not be able to trade because I'm on meetings or something.
One sec.
Uh,
You have stats from February, January, February, April, or March, April?
uh, did for those, I don't think I was really actively trading because I just recently had a baby and also I was just trying to really adjust with
Okay,
that
yeah, that's
whole
tough.
lifestyle.
Yeah,
But I was like, I was studying, I was watching the market, but I just had to be really like, I just had to kind of like, allocate my finances towards
okay,
something else.
100%. Okay.
But yeah.
So let's get into this. We'll use based off of these stats. This stats what it tells me. Thank you for sharing it. What it tells me that you have a lot of things down, um, and I'm glad that you look at filings. I'm glad that you're patient, but your problem, like a lot of every other trader, is risk management. And
Hmm.
I'm very content and happy to see that you have a daily max loss.
Hmm.
In the past, so when did you start go live? Do you like what you said you started 2017? Um, I like when I started, I blew up a few times. Was there a time period? Like, do you have your live stats on those times, or was there a time that you were
Uh,
kind of
so
active?
so basically, bro, I started in 2017, and I think this is the first time where I'm actually consistently trading on daily basis. Um, because for me it was just like for me I did not want to trade until I get really comfortable with tape. I feel a lot more confident with tape, and I feel like I have definitely learned a lot more compared to what I knew before. So there was a good time where I just studied. I was just watching the market. I would just pay for DAS posts. I had the real time data. I would record my screen. I would just sit there and just watch tape. And
Okay,
sometimes like, oh, I know I had a good read, and sometimes it will just like throw me off, and I'll go back to ground zero. I'm like, oh, I need to work on it even more.
the only
And
reason
that's
why I'm
some.
asking, bro, is not to be nosy, but the only reason I'm asking is so I can give you proper advice. From this stats,
Hmm.
what I'm seeing is that you have a 66% accuracy. Your whole time, you said was bigger than your loser whole time,
Yeah,
but it seems like there is a time that you take a big loss. So you're a bit profitable, and then you take a loss that's really big.
yeah.
Has that
Hmm.
been a trend in the past ever since you traded?
No. So this actually happened. This is, yeah, actually, you know what? Yes, because now when I recall it, I remember I did take some losses in which I was able to, like, they were usually bigger, twice the size of my winners, and that's something that kind of really scared me. And I would go back to my study mode. You know, I would not trade for like another month or two because
That's
I was
good.
so scared of it. Yeah.
That's good.
And that's something I kind of noticed when this happened. But
Mm.
I just felt like yeah, these two tickets, I just felt like, they were really mentally exhausting for me. And I should have waited. And there were some, like, I had taken some notes, for example, and yeah, I had taken some notes, but that's just something I'm kind of battling with. And this is something I would like to work on because I would like to keep my losses small. I'm usually okay with cutting my losses, but sometimes if I'm trading a P&L, and like, let's say I'm already down from a first position, right? So for example, I will take my play from April 27th. I think I shared this chart with you, right? YTEN, did I share this chart with you, bro? Do
I've
you
seen
have
it.
it?
Every single thing that you have, it's there.
On,
Um,
I'm sorry. So you have the chart?
which
YTEN? If not,
uh,
then, hold on. I don't think so. Wait. Because I remember there was this one.
IO.
Mhm.
I have
iOS
IO,
one on CAP.
CPH, MVIS, and IO. I have three.
Okay, you have three. Okay, you know what? Hold on. Just give me a second.
Okay.
Uh,
Uh, so I guess we'll let you dictate. What I was trying to overall get is what your main problem was, and I am content and happy to see that you have a daily max loss. Obey that. Don't break that.
yeah, dude, I can't. I can't. Once I cover all my losses, and if it's like a penny over $500, I'm done for the day. Like it's sometimes like
You let
sometimes
the
just sitting there
broker
for 2 hours. I'm like,
you let the
I'm
broker
sorry.
exit you, right?
Yeah, it's my broker who did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So once you get locked out, you don't come back in, right?
I can't. I can't place any orders. Like there, and don't get me wrong. Like days like YTE and the chart I just sent you and the MVIS, I
Mm.
was just so irritated compared to like the stuff that happened. I was like, man, the stock is doing so much volume, so crappy. Like this thing, it basically mentally exhausted me so much. And when I saw this thing just kind of like towards the end of the day, just kind of pulling back, setting at lower highs, and I saw this thing making like the wedge and breaking down to the trend line. I'm like, I was so close to, I was just so tempted to just call a broker. I'm like, hey, man, just take out my baby max loss. I want to get in right now. But I just walked away. Like, I just walked away. I'm like, man, you know what? I'm just going to take this loss. I'm going to take this as a lesson. This is healthy for me. This is healthy for me in the long run. I'm not going to try to like pick up some bad habits that I think I already have quite a lot of bad habits, like something like covering right at the top. And that's something I would like you to kind of like, give your insight on. But yeah, so I stuck to it, man. Once the daily max losses hit, there's nothing you can do about it.
Good for you. I am seeing a lot of things that you're doing, which is healthy.
Yeah,
Proud of you with that. I'm
yeah.
looking at
So,
your charts.
so one of the things I wanted to ask you, which is not really basically with the mindset or trading, right? I felt like, especially like a trade like YTN, okay? I feel like I'm really slow on my order entry. It's like
Do you
because,
use
for
hotkeys?
example, I'm sorry.
You use hotkeys sometimes?
Well, so actually, I just programmed a hotkeys last week. Okay, and I was talking to Brian Lee on Twitter. I actually shared one of my charts, right? And one of the things he pointed out that my route, which I was using back before, was a smart route. Okay, and he said, "Oh, get rid of that because that thing always gives you terrible entries. So stick to like cartel or fennel or something like that."
Mm.
Um, so I've been using that. So I've been using my hotkeys, but I feel like like maybe hotkeys might be the solution for that. But that's just something I just wanted to ask you because I know you've been training for some time, and is this something that you like? Do you prefer hotkeys all the time? Do you use hotkeys, or do you actually do manual order entry using a number pad or using some sort of other some sort of other tool?
So, trading, bro, I've been trading for about 12 years. Took
Correct.
me a long time to become consistent.
Hmm.
Trading, even if I tell you exactly what I do, exactly what I use, it has to match your personality.
Yeah.
So yes, I do use hotkeys. There was a period
Hmm.
that I didn't use hotkeys. What I do
Hmm.
now, bro, is, and I think this is the recommendation that I'm seeing a pattern in your situation.
Hmm.
You need to have your stop. You're not obeying. Let me double check with every single one. Give me a second. This one, this one. Okay, this one you obeyed. This one, yeah, this one you didn't obey. So you are slipping up on your stops. In my opinion,
Hmm.
from what I have seen, if you have, we can go over it.
Hmm.
But if you have a certain stop, I don't think you stop out where you should, and that is a psychological issue because you're either not willing to accept. Let me answer your question without going off tangent. Do I use hotkeys? Yes, I use hotkeys. Do I
Okay.
use other things? I also have another metric which I have two level twos.
Hmm.
I have a range order, or some brokers have called conditional order,
Hmm.
because just like you, everybody, different people are different things. My one of my weakness, bro, is that I don't. Sometimes I get sloppy when my brain's not working. If I haven't eaten proper food, not enough sleep, I'm like, let me just see. Especially my trading style too, because I'm a discretionary trader. So it's like I let it. Sometimes I give it some wiggle room, but sometimes, a lot of times I don't. So
Hmm.
I do use hard stops
Okay.
because I have. I mean, it depends on the time of day. It depends on the size. It's complex, but simply put, I do use hotkeys, and I do have a hotkey. So you need to incorporate a hotkey that's exit all.
Yeah,
Sometimes
exit all.
whenever
Okay.
yeah, sometimes whenever you question
Hmm.
that
The
should I
trade.
be in
Hmm.
this trade, or as soon as you question it, bro, don't continue with that thought process. As soon as you feel
Hmm.
like it hit your stop, and you're like, should I let it go or not? As soon as you get that trigger,
Hmm.
you need to press that button. As soon as you get that
Right.
trigger, you don't need to go through the thought process, because sometimes when you go through the thought process, I'll tell you my honest perspective from my experience. Likely your issue is a psychological. This money means much to you. Now that you have a family or whatever it is, you're not trying to lose money. There's
Hmm.
a fear
Hmm.
aspect there. Okay, you need to work with that. You need to work around that or something. This is my theory. I don't know if it's true, if that's what's holding you back, but that is what I do. I use the hotkeys, and I have a button whenever I'm like, if it cut out. But I also have a range order where I put my loss and that, and I have a daily max loss.
Okay.
Uh,
Hmm. Hmm.
does that answer your question?
Yeah, that did. That did. Yeah. Hmm. Regarding this covering, respecting my loss and actually sticking to it, right? So the two things that I've been kind of there are two things that I've been kind of battling with in my head. Okay, one is that I'm kind of trying to have a habit of, let's say the stock blows through my stock. Okay, right? I do not want to panic cover it and cover right at
It
the
goes
top. I
to
would
your
like to
the
actually have a.
stock goes to your stock. What do you mean?
I'm sorry.
You said the stock goes to your stock, or that's what I heard.
No, no. So what I'm saying is like so what I'm saying is like this is something that I'm battling with. Okay. So let's say, for example, let me just take one of the stock. Let me just take one of this. So
IO.
where did it go? I O. Where is I? Sorry, just give me a second. Where is I O? Okay. I O was the one, correct. Hmm. So yeah. So regarding with this I O, right? Starting pre-market. So this is what I was talking about, like, my pre-market play. Like, I will sometimes take a push, I'll be in the money, but I'm like, just you. Sometimes, like now, I'm trying to tell myself, like, hey, you know what? Have some cushion, give yourself some cushion, and maybe start fresh at the open, right? Because what I've noticed is stocks that are trading in the upper range in the pre-market, especially towards the end, especially within like from 9:50 to 9:30. Most of the time, they push up. Like, they will have that like really quick push out the gate, and they will and maybe within the first half an hour and for 15 minutes they will, depending on the chat room was in there or no. And I think this one was Ross was in there, I believe. uh I'm so sorry, I don't think I should have said his name, but some
It's okay.
chat
I
room
don't
was
care.
in there. Okay.
I don't care. I don't
Yeah.
give a shit. I know.
Yeah.
I
So
remember he was in there.
Yeah, and he was, and like, because yeah, someone told me like, oh, he's watching it. I'm like, okay. And what happened was, this is basically right at the gate. I feel like this is where I need to really control my emotions, because things are moving so fast. Because this thing was going up and down 30 cents, 40 cents. And in my head, I'm like, okay, so that's the reason I was really covering really quick. So one of the things, like, I feel like
We're
my
talking
covers were
pre-market or are we talking at the open?
the right at the open. You see a little cluster of these triangles right at the open,
Yeah, yeah, I
right?
see it.
Right before the whole big drop happened, right? So one of the things that really been bothering me, these like, covering, like, and actually taking a stop loss, is that I do not want to take a stop loss as, like, when it's ripping, especially in moments like these where the volatility is so strong and price action is moving on air, basically. Because I have no, like, in the past, I will get a fill right at the top. So instead, I'm trying to practice, like, I will let it pull back a little bit, so that way I kind of shrink my risk, basically. Shrink that my loss that I'm taking. So that's something. And the other thing
I'm
was,
gonna stop you for a second, bro.
hmm
And
hmm hmm
th yeah, I know the problem, and I know you're trying to figure the golden goose. Hey, this is the situation. This is 9:30. This is the situation. The problem is in your head, and I'm sorry to say that, and I can see that from your entries. The problem is not that I should stop shorting pre-market or I should wait for the open or that I should every time you exit it's the top tick. That
hmm
is not the problem. The problem, I guarantee you, if you're here to listen for advice, the
hmm
problem is in your mental state. It is not with you trying to find a golden goose. Every single one of your trades, bro, I can see. Let's take this U10 for pre-market. When you took the pre-market short,
hmm
what was your stop on the pre-market?
So basically, I believe it was a level for three men. I was watching it. I think I had I had drawn a resistance line. I think it was a 308 or 305. So I was risking up that level. And I gave it, sometimes I would give it like a little small leeway, like, small space, like a more
So
like a
so
buffer.
when you added at 8:35 that fourth red candle and then you covered,
Mm-hmm.
were you full size there?
Was a full size there. Wait, hold on. I need
When
to
you were
check. I'm
entering at
sorry.
8:30, was your did you calculate your share to be okay with the loss at $8 or sorry, $2 or 350 whatever?
Yeah,
Cuz
so basically in my head I was thinking like, okay, you know what, let's say if I'm risking off like 308, right? And if I'm getting an entry at 219 or like 298 or 301, for example, right? My first entry was, I think my risk reward was good, because I was looking for a down flush of like maybe 20, 30 cents, right? Which I got, but I feel like, and this is something I'm still working on, that my executions need to be near apart instead of like, I think the first
my question
entry
was
that I
position
had.
sizing,
Mhm.
brother. My question was position sizing. Did you go full size? Were you 1/10th size at 8:30? And be honest, bro. I'm here not to judge you, okay? Me and you,
Yeah,
we're on the
but
same team.
yeah, dude,
So,
in pre-market, I never do full size. I'll probably play like, half a size, basically. But if I'm, let's say my maximum daily share that I trade is 1,000 shares, I'll probably go like, 500 shares. That's about it. So I think that was, uh, uh
okay.
this is where, yeah, this is where I kind of, that's the reason I have all my trade logs beside it, because I always forget the sizing and stuff. It always happens to me.
Okay.
So
So one problem
yeah.
here, bro, that I see.
Mhm.
Oh wait, do I
Mhm.
have entries here? Oh, it says it right here. I have your entries. Can I read that or no?
Yeah, sure, man. Sure, go ahead. Yeah, no worries. Go
Let
ahead.
me see. So
Um,
eight twenty
8:20.
five.
Yeah.
So two, three, four, eight. So you were about 800 shares, maybe 900 shares, something like that. Is that correct? So 24,
Um,
25.
for
It's not
eight.
even based on time. Looks like you were
Yeah.
maybe 200, 800 shares. So this is
Yeah.
the reason why I'm asking, bro, because again, we're in the same team.
Hmm.
Sometimes subconsciously, I've seen it with every single chart you send.
Hmm.
It seems like where you should have stopped out, you add to the position. You're adding to a loser. And
Yeah.
then what you do is you let it go against you, and on the
Hmm.
drawback, you cover. This is
Hmm.
why it's a
Hmm.
psychological problem.
Hmm.
So here, your brain may have told you that you were, I don't know if 800 is your full size or like close to near to the half. I don't know if you were genuinely, the trades that you take, if you are completely content with taking that loss. What I'm saying is one time, bro, you have that I'm gonna take a stop out at this level.
Hmm.
And there's another thing with being okay to take that loss. You're okay with that $200, $300 loss. If you're
Hmm.
not, you need to reduce it because this
Yeah.
is not something that you need to do. And I'm willing to bet you, if I see your other execution charts, bro, some of the times that you really messed up is you let the trade go against you and you're waiting for a pullback. This in itself is a horrible behavior. And I've seen this in IO, and I've seen this, and what was the other ones that I saw it? And the four charts that you sent, I saw it a few times. So look at MVIS. You're shorting it, you
Yeah.
cut it break even. You short it. Um, okay, maybe I'm wrong in that one, but I remember saw it a few times. Yeah, okay. The other one was Yatin. So you were short it. So this is just a habit thing, right? So it goes against you. If I was here, my thought process would have been like, okay, I'm gonna risk above that red candle, 688. So it goes up against and it comes down. It goes up and it
Hmm.
comes down,
Sorry,
and
which
it
ticker are you talking about? Which ticker are you
YT
talking about?
YTEN.
Okay,
I'm
right.
talking
Yeah.
about
Okay.
the behavior. It's not
Right.
necessarily about the conversation because you're earlier on you were telling me about, and it's a normal behavior where you're like, man, I shouldn't do pre-market. If I just trade the open, I'll do better, etc., etc. It's not the case. The case is you are not prepared to take that loss, whether that because it's you're having a family or whatever it is. So look at this behavior. Think about it yourself.
Hmm.
I don't know where your short cover stop was, but look at where your stops are. You're waiting for a pullback to cover. And this is a habit that you've done in Iowa as well. Like I saw you added to a short and it went against and you pulled back and then you're like, you know what, I'm going to cover here. Did you cover everything at 905 whatever, that 800 shares,
Hmm.
or did you cover half?
On IO, right?
Yeah,
Oh, that was a full cover, man.
full cover. Yeah. So you
Oh,
wait for a pullback to cover because subconsciously, from my experience, is you're not content with it. You're not content with it. So how do we? Is this the correct analysis, or you think
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
okay? So if this is a repetitive behavior, how do we fix this behavior? You fix
Correct.
this behavior by uh, either really digging deep and asking why are you not okay with it. I'm gonna give you some potential thought process why you're not okay, may not be okay with it. One,
Hmm.
you may have a family on the way, and you're trying to do good. You're trying to focus on the P&L. You're trying to be like very, like I can't take that big of a loss, or it gets above your risk, and you're like, nah, fuck it, I'm gonna wait for a pullback. And sometimes the
Mm.
pullback will not happen. And I'm glad that you have a daily max loss.
Yeah.
But with that mindset, there will be multiple
Hmm.
times that you will take big losses. Multiple
Hmm.
times. So one thought process is that the overall root cause is that you're not okay with accepting the loss. Reduce the size or try to figure out why you're not okay. One
Mm.
thing is to be like, I'm okay with a $200 loss. The other thing is to actually accept the loss.
Mm.
Maybe that $200, $300, $400, $500 means a lot to you. Maybe you need to reduce it until you're quite consistent.
Mm.
Perhaps you need to add a hard stop. These are questions, well, that you need to ask, but what I can do is I can give you some solutions for it.
Correct.
Use hard stops, man. Use hard stops. You seem to be a good trader. I like that you're holding for a long period of time. I like that you're looking into fundamentals. Everybody has their own trading style, so everything works. But
Mm.
perhaps use 2/3 or 3/4 of a hard stop, you know?
And that's
Don't,
something, that's something I'm trying to, but bro, let me ask you this. Do you use Dash Pro by any chance? Because I'm trying to actually set up a stop loss hotkey,
mm,
right? In which basically what I want is that I want to just hit one key. I just want to enter, I want the system to consider about whatever position that I have open and
mm,
set it as a stop key, and I can just enter the price, and I can enter the price, and it just like goes through. Okay, because as I told you, like I'm not really fast in order entry, and because I'm watching the tape, I cannot really like be entering orders and stuff. So I'm trying to actually. That's something that I need to figure out this week. I'm trying to watch some videos on stop loss that I just enter the price where I want to be stopped out, and if it hits, I'm out. Because what you're saying about this pullback, this is something I feel like I tried, and I feel like it's not happening because it happened to me. It's even in my notes that I did not like. I could have where I shorted more. I should have taken my loss, basically, right? That's one of the things I got from. That's one of the feedback I got from you, in addition to the mental setback or mental acceptance of just taking the loss. And for that reason, I'm trying to actually implement this actually hard loss. So the second I enter, I have my the next thing I do is set my hard stop, and then go on from there. So that's something I actually need to. That's something I'm actually working on. It's definitely on the
okay,
list for this weekend.
I'm
Yeah.
not the right person to ask for the DAS. I will
Okay, you're
not.
not okay.
No.
Okay, cool, cool, cool.
So
That's okay, no worries.
one of the
Hmm.
other things that you could do, one of them is put a hard stop. Another one is don't add to a freaking loser. Don't add to a losing position.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's when you get iffy. Um,
Correct.
and then maybe I like that you have multiple entries. It's good to have slowly scale into it.
Correct.
Um,
Yeah.
so make another rule. So I have level twos, so I have a range order or conditional order.
Okay.
Before I enter a trade, so I'm
Mm.
using hotkeys. In
Yeah.
there, uh, of course, I have a liquidate all button, but so yeah, you want to use one key, and it should be called liquidate, so that closes
Yeah.
your position whether you're long or short. So another thing that you could do is before you enter a trade, make it a habit to punch in the exit. Don't put on a freaking
Okay.
trade before you punch it in.
Right.
So that
Okay.
way, you can either click it or you can go on it and press your hotkey and it would execute. So I have two level twos for every single thing.
Right.
Okay, that's the one thing. The other, th- the other thing is, don't give a shit if you top tick. Who gives a fuck? Who gives
I'm
a
sorry.
fuck?
Say that again.
Don't give a shit about top ticking. Top ticking, if your exit's at top tick, it happens. It's not a big
Yeah.
deal. This
Yeah.
is why there's an underlying problem. The problem is not you will never find a golden goose nugget that you should
Yeah.
short pre-market. You should not.
Hmm. Hmm.
3 4 months, not 4 months ago. 8 months ago, pre-market shorts were working perfectly. Now
Right.
they go higher. It doesn't matter. You
Yeah.
can't find
That's
a golden
fine.
goose. It's us. We are the problem. So work on yourself. Find a way to to mitigate this problem, and be okay with having a stop at the top. You know, if your stop, like example, if you're not comfortable with losing 200, 300, whatever you're risking, reduce it, man.
Mm.
There's nothing wrong with
Mm.
who gives a shit. Just reduce it. That way,
Mm.
you know what? If you take a scratch loss, you can re-enter. But
Right.
if you take a loss, then all of the sudden you become, if you take a loss that you're a bit more uncomfortable with,
Yeah.
what happens is you're hesitant to come back in, and
Yeah.
you're gonna take profits more often. Like you're saying, you're you're not a scalper, but like I see you sometimes trying to work with core quickly, cover into the wash, cover into the pop. Slow down, slow down, go
Mm.
easy, relax. So maybe you need to
Mm.
do that by figure out what it is that's there. It's either,
Mm.
do you know what I'm saying? One could be the dollar value. Another thing could be that you have this need and you have this urge to be right.
Correct.
Nobody's
Mm.
fucking right, bro. Nobody's gonna be right. Losses are part of our game. You need to work
Yeah.
on your losses.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So some of the solutions, again, repeating, would be reducing size, utilize
Mm.
hard stops, enter your where you're gonna stop out before you put on a trade. You can't make it a rule. You can't enter a freaking trade until you have your thing chump pitched in. Have two level twos.
Correct. Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
okay, and those are and then if you want to dig someday, dig. Don't let the stock go against you because
Right.
the days if you didn't have a daily loss, bro, you would hit your daily loss and you would go bankrupt so many times because you're
Yeah.
letting a trade go against you multiple times and you're waiting for a pullback to cover. Not a good
Mm.
mindset. Okay.
Yeah.
What other questions do you have, or what things are you
Um.
struggling with?
So the other thing I was talking about was like, for example, if you go back to IO, right? IO was basically what you said about like not chasing the golden goose and not trying to top pick everything, right? And that's something I have kind of noticed about myself that because I'm focused on tape, I wanna get on that exact moment where the pullback, where I see the pullback is just gonna happen, right?
Why?
For
Why do you
um,
do that?
and that's something I need to fix about myself because what I'm seeing is that hey, it's okay for me to be late like 20 cents, but to be on the backside of the move, because something like for example like something like I think yesterday was Vuzi, VUZI, that ripped at the gate and it was pushing, and then it got stuff similar action to like IO, right?
I'll tell
So
you
now
something. One second, I'm gonna cut you off again. Sometimes when the brain wants to get to something that we're sensitive about,
mm,
subconsciously the brain wants to switch things. So it's normal. But why do you feel like you need the top tick or be close to the top? Why?
I feel like this is something that I'm trying. I don't know. This is something that I'm trying to prove myself that I like that's my way of judging that I'm good in. Like I learned something in those 3 years that I spent on tape reading,
Okay.
which is pretty like sometimes when I think about it, it's like I'm like, dude, what the hell? Like, what, it does not make sense, because especially for stocks like IO when they're ripping like this quick, uh, like it takes a split second for the stock to just push even further, and next thing you see, it just rips up 70 cents, 80 cents sometimes, right?
You want to feel your
And
time
that
is not wasted, is the reason why you want to try to be near the top.
Yeah, and now I'm just trying to like I'm actually trying to like I have tagged this I'm tagged like I have tagged all these
Sorry,
plays
I don't mean to
on
keep cutting
my
you off.
trader view.
I don't mean to keep cutting you off, but I know this is a psychological issue because I've been through this. Remember, I said anytime the brain wants to get closer to the problem, this
Mm.
is a psychological thing. We tend to deviate the conversation away from it. So let's dig in a little deeper. This would be a long session, but so you're trying to top tick because you or be close to the top because there is because you want to make sure that you spent time correctly. Like the time you spent was worth it. You have something to prove. Like elaborate a bit more on that.
Yeah, and it's just in my head, that there's a part of me that thinks trading is just like any other career, in which like once you have this, like you do this, and you get the outcome, which I know is not the wrong mind, which I know is not the correct mindset,
No,
because
say
you
it.
know,
Say it out loud verbally. What do you mean? I don't go. What do you mean?
I mean, like in trading, like I'm trying to be perfect in most of my entries, which cannot really happen, basically,
Why are you trying to be perfect?
Because I just want to prove myself that I know this, but and it's just something that I'm dealing mentally, man. It's so hard.
Yeah,
Like
let's
even
talk about
sometimes,
it.
like
Bro, this is a safe zone. Let's talk about it. It's okay. Let's talk about it. So,
basically it's my way of judging my own, like judging my own progress. Basically, that's
so
what it
what
is.
if you fail? What if you decide that you lost all your money in day trading and it doesn't work out for you?
And that part I've thought about it as well. Like what if that happens? And I think that's one of the reasons I took my time. I took so much time before even actually start entering
No, no, no,
trades
no.
because
What's gonna happen at that period? You tried day trading for another year or two,
right.
and then you find out, fuck, this is not for me, man. Like I'm not mentally meant for it.
I to be honest with you, like the way I look at it is that because I've done this in the past as well. I've done this um, like basically the way I look at the way I think about it is that if there's something that I enjoy doing,
Mm.
at the end of the day, it just comes down to me how much work I put in to make that thing work for me. I don't expect things to be handed over to me on a silver platter. I don't ask for people to give me stock tips, or I'm not going to be joining some rooms just so I can tailgate someone.
But I'm not
Like I want,
asking
I
you.
make
I'm not asking you what happens when we miraculously come out and we come victorious. We're having a
yeah,
discussion and a scenario where it doesn't become miraculous. It becomes something that you're not able to handle, something that you're not able to do.
something that I'm not able to do, and I think that's one of the reasons. Um,
How are you gonna feel, or what? Like, what's the thought process?
to be honest with you, I don't think of that aspect, because for me, the way I have always been, like the way I'm wired is that if I know I can, like, if I like something, if I, as long as I put my time and energy into it, I think I can make it work. It has because I feel like this is something like more like a personal trait. So if I have done something like that in the past in a different career, different in school, whatever, I can do it in anything. Just a thing about overcoming a mental like blockage or something like that. Like
Do
to
you
me, I
think?
don't give up easily. That's the
Do you
problem.
think? Do
Uh,
you think you being correct and finding you being near the top for the entry, do you think is that holding you back? Is that negatively affecting your performance?
at the moment, though, what I'm seeing is yeah, and that's the reason. That's one of the reasons I start tracking all this stuff. I start taking these little notes because I would like to get rid of these bad habits. Like even though I want to be perfect, I want to bottom take and top take and bottom take on my shorts and bottom take and long, a top take on my longs. I don't like what I'm telling myself is that hey, if I in this game, you don't need to capture the whole move. Like if you're playing with decent size, you can still make a great living. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to chase. Of course, everyone in this game to make decent living, but I feel like even if you make $1,000 a day, that's a pretty good damn living, man. Come on, like not a lot of people make. Some people make like less than $100 a day, right? So in this game, what I've seen is if you even like you don't have to play with 100,000, 50,000, 25,000, 25,000 positions, right? I mean 25,000 share positions. You just need to, as you said, you just need to like kind of control, manage your risk, right? And be like be really safe about like with your plays instead of like chasing top takes and bottom takes, which I've been doing, which I've been noticing about myself. I just want to make like now what I'm trying to do is that I'm trying to what do you call that? I'm trying to actually get it on the confirmed backside, instead of just getting on the first signal of backside, basically.
How can you be at the backside if you're trying to top tick or be at the top?
And that's what it is. Those two don't go together. So which means I need to actually, I cannot like, my entries cannot be super high, right? Because I'm not like, if I'm gonna actually wait for the backside, I'm not gonna be top taking anything, which I'm okay with. But the one thing that's for sure is that if it's backside, I'm gonna be in the money really quick, especially on these high volatile stocks.
I think you have to work on your mindset. You
Hmm.
have big issues in your mindset, bro. You need to, and it's normal. It's normal. I'm glad we're having discussion, but the more conversation that I have with you, the more I realize that for sure what's holding you back is the psychological problems. Your entries and exits are all affected by that. I'll tell you something that's very graphic, and I abide by that. There was a large period of time I visually I visually spat on myself mentally if I try to top tick and bottom tick. Who the fuck are we trying to impress when we top tick or
Hmm.
bottom tick? Bro,
Yeah.
fuck the ego. Let go of the
Hmm.
ego. Let go of that shit. You have to
Hmm.
get rid of that. You have to eliminate that.
Hmm.
If are
Hmm.
you smart money, you dumb money. That's the way I
That's
look at
right.
it. If I top tick,
Yeah.
bottom tick, I get disgusted with myself. There was, I swear to you. So I have goals that I work on every monthly periodic. I literally, two things I would visually spit on myself. And as Like that's a very insulting thing to do for some cultures. So
mm,
one was if I made money and I broke my rules.
mm,
One rule I have is don't add to a loser. You add to a loser. Don't fucking do that. Get rid of that
mm,
shit. If you're trying to become consistent, I can see you have some progress. You have made it good. Number two, uh, number two thing was don't fucking bottom tick and top tick.
yeah.
Let look if you're smart money, let other people's fucking money do the gambling. You fucking come in when things are fucking clear coast. When
Mm,
things are
mm,
clear, you
mm.
come in to hunt.
Correct.
This is
Yeah.
not a fucking a dick measuring contest and like we go on Twitter top tick. Yeah, there's some fucking people that do that all the time. Who gives a fuck about those people? Those
Mm,
not
mm,
many people. 90-95% of people fail in this industry. Don't
mm.
be the guy that fucking top ticks bottom tick. If you're gonna top tick bottom tick and show on Twitter, man, like do it. You have subs, whatever. I don't know. There's an ego issue here or whatever. There's an issue here you gotta solve.
Mm, mm.
Get rid of that. Don't even think about fucking top ticking, bottom ticking, and what's the other thing? Yeah, I wait for other people's money. Every time uh, I enter, one thing I always look is I'm like, yo, do I have anything to risk against? Do I have anything to risk against? If I don't, I try
Mm,
not to enter. And
mm.
another rule that you need to add to your arsenal, if you're trying to become consistent, don't add to a loser. People will
Yeah. No. Mm-hmm.
people here will say you have to blah blah blah, and there's different merits perspective. But I don't give two fucks about what people say. And this idea may work for you, may not work for you. But if you are struggling and you're trying to become consistent, don't fucking do that. And I can see whenever
Correct.
you get in, you go in scalp mode because there's like some psychological problems there. So, and it's not a bad thing. Psychological, I don't mean anything bad. It's just something you got to work on.
Yeah. Mm,
So yeah, just visualize spitting on yourself, as fucked up and as graphic as that sounds, when you bottom tick and top tick, even if you make money. And another time that you should do that is when you trade recap. Um, if you made money when you if you made money when you broke your rules, that's the other time that you should be very disappointed in yourself because that's disgusting money. Sometimes you add to a loser and you make money or you break even or you get a big trade. Fuck that. That's disgusting money. That's the money you don't want to touch. That's the money you wanna like kick with your feet and you just like put it to the back. Be like, yeah, no, fuck that. Put that to the back.
right.
Uh,
Mm.
and another thing that you can improve upon is let me read your. I read it a few times. If you short daily, want to resist and look locks and profits, not every stock will always be right often. Ah,
So which tick are you beating? I don't.
yeah. Write down. Like I'm just looking at your general the way you recap. When you recap this, were you showing this to anybody else?
Dude, it just means it's
Just you.
trading is such a game. Like it's really hard to find people who I can actually talk to who really understand what the fuck I'm talking about. You
Okay.
know?
So what you need to do on
Yeah.
top of when you're recapping is write down where your stop was when you entered because clearly stops is your issue, right? So
Yeah.
work on where your stop is, where your potential target is on your recap, and then also grade
Correct.
yourself how you did on your trading, and don't let it be P&L. And don't fucking think that $1,000 is good per month or $100 is bad or forget P&L, bro. It's just focus on the process. Don't worry
Right.
about the
Right.
money. Don't worry about
No, no.
anything.
The only reason about that, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not trying to hit that mark. I'm just trying to say that for me, and like just having like the right foundation and having the right process. I'm not chasing the money right out of the gate. Even though like you're right that there's sometimes when I'm in a losing position, I'll be like kind of I'll be panicking because I'm like, oh my god, it just took me. I think I just took this much. Even though I have my P&L hidden, like I will sometimes like just maximize the win. I'll just look at it. And I'm like, oh man, I'm down like $350. I'm down like $20, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I'm just not. That's the reason, like that's the reason I'm not trading with a lot of shares. That's the reason I'm not like rushing into sizing up, even though
Who
because
cares?
right
Who
now,
cares if you're trading
yeah,
with like 50 shares or 10,000
yeah,
shares?
exactly.
Doesn't
So for
matter.
me, I'm just doing whatever I'm comfortable with. But for me, it's more about like having the right process because the way I look at it is that if I'm keep like for example, like my initial like my plays right out the gate on IO. if I'm doing this thing further down the road, with bigger size, this thing can add up to like a because this thing was moving so quickly. This thing can add up to a pretty massive loss. Instead of so I want to kind of like try these like do these mistakes with a smaller share, right? And like that's the reason like I brought this up,
Bro,
and that's the
don't
reason
bring
I
up
wrote
small
this.
share, big share. That stuff doesn't matter.
Yeah,
The problem,
and
don't bring up small share. Don't even have that in your mindset. I really know
yeah,
that's something that's like I hate to say that's something like you're thinking about or like I don't want to use the word insecure, but that's something that's in your mind. Don't let that be in your mind. Who gives a
hmm,
shit? Like if you, I'm not gonna judge you if you trade 50 shares or 5,000 shares. It doesn't matter because
right,
trading is an equalizer, bro. It's the same thing. If you
correct,
make this process, if you're down 500, you would be down 5,000. If you're up,
exactly, yeah,
if you're up 50, you're up 5,000. It's not as simple as
right,
that, but it's close to that, you know. So
right.
it's the process. It doesn't matter. Don't think about there's a processing problem here. So
Hmm.
when you entered the second trade on IO, do you recall what your stop was at 9:45?
9:45. Where I cover right at the top.
No, after you covered to the top, you it broke and then you shorted.
At this point, so this is where I remember I was having some issues with my hotkeys. Okay, and I tried to see one other thing I already talked to you about, like before that flush happened, right? Correct. You see how it covered right at the top, and this is something that I think I had it tagged as in my trade review as well. So at that time, I was watching the tape and I saw this thing rejecting pretty hard from there. Like usually, like there's certain things that I kind of like go through in my head when I'm watching the tape. For example, if it breaks to previous high, it should rip more. If it doesn't, that hey, that's a bearish sign, especially on these volatile stocks, right? And which I saw. And in this one, what happened was I shorted and I covered right away. And this is the one of the points that I kind of took is that in this case, I should have maybe waited until that new high of like 435 ish broke, right? So that was a bad cover. So when that happened and the stock just flushed this like I think a minute after, I was panicking to get in basically. I wanted to get in right as soon as it flushed, like maybe between 420 and 410. I mean, sorry, between 410 and 420. But I was panicking. I was trying to make my hotkeys work, and that's the reason I had such bad entries over here. But on on this one, because I was dealing with these technical issues, my stop loss would have been if I were to get that entry that I wanted. My stop loss would have been the high of the day, basically.
So when you entered at 9:45, what was your stop? That was the question.
So in that flush, right?
Yeah.
In that flush, yeah. So basically,
You
I will
entered at
still think I will
370.
still say my stop was still half the day. But as I said, like these entries here, these were not the entries that I wanted because
It
I
doesn't matter.
expected my hotkeys to work.
It
Uh,
doesn't matter.
but
You entered at 370. What was your stop?
so half the day, 435,
You had
which is pretty
sized
wide.
you had, but did you size enough to risk higher the day?
They are sized enough into this. I believe I was fully into this, man. Let me check. Um, I think I was 800 shares or 8,000 shares.
But I'm
But
getting that's a problem. Even though you made money here, that's a problem.
yeah,
It shouldn't be. Like maybe if you were to tell me you entered at 370 and your risk was
435, and that's a wide risk. I know.
if your risk
That's a
was
really wide risk.
$4 or 390, then that would make sense. Then that would
Right.
make sense. But if you're risking higher than any 100 shares, that doesn't make sense. So the
Hmm.
problem is psychological. Even in the same problem here, you're shorting and then you're covering. This is gonna sound stupid, and a lot of people will disagree. But again, I don't give a fuck about people. I don't
I'm
even think
sorry, sorry,
I
sorry.
don't even think.
Say that part again. I'm sorry. Can you just repeat that part again?
So you entered. You're telling me, and I'm sorry to say, but you entered at 370, and you're just saying I entered with full size, and your stop was at the high of the day. You made money on that trade, but that was not a good way to make money.
Yeah, I know. I agree with that.
And you should have reduced your size, or if you high of the day, or if you were risking 390 or something, you need to have
Mm-hmm.
that as your mindset. Or you could reduce your risk to that. But always keep that in your mind in the back of your head. And another reason that I was going to say earlier is when you shorted pre-market at the open, you were covering at small flushes. And
When
I
I
do that,
shorted at the open, okay. Mm-hmm.
yeah, 932 something.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And I do that too sometimes. I cover with core or something like that. But realistically, it's not a good mindset to have. Like I could see your mental capital was burned out, but
Yeah.
it's better to, if you have a risk in mind, it's better to risk. This is very contradicting and it's like controversial
Yeah.
because your mindset is that you're not being disciplined. One way to increase your discipline is to take it at break even, if that makes sense. Because
Mm-hmm.
you're
Mm.
constantly judging, you're like flickering, you're like you're either using too much size or you because you're trying to be right, whatever it is, you're shorting and then you're covering pop. It's like it's almost like you feel cool about it.
Mm.
Yeah, you made money, but
Mm.
you take that trade 10,000 times, see how it's gonna turn out for you. It's not gonna turn out well. You're trying to
Mm.
instantly cover the quick and then reshort the pop and like feel like a hero and then short, and then sometimes
Yeah.
it gets to the top and messes up. So if you're
And
trying to flex your discipline and increase your discipline,
mm.
one suggestion that I have, just a practice session, it's a controversial one, but take break-even stops. So in here that you
Mm.
took your stop, you took an entry at 9:30, I think at around 4:05 or 4:06, and I'm sure you were content or you stopped. I don't know. I think you stopped out first and then you entered. I don't know. So then just put a stop at like 4:05. You would have stopped out. You would
Mm.
have stopped out. But you know what you would have done, bro? You probably would have re-entered at the next wash. Your mental capital would have been preserved.
Yeah. Mm.
Whereas you can't be a long-term holder and a scalper. Pick a
Mm.
side. Don't be a hero. Leave ego to the side.
Correct.
Okay,
Mm.
brother. It's been an hour.
Wow,
Any?
it's been an hour, dude.
It's okay.
That's crazy.
Any
Um,
any two other questions or something like that?
no, dude, I
Anything that
think
you
for
want
now
to
this is
comment?
okay. This is great. I think you have pointed out some great things, and I've taken out, I've made some notes about myself as well. And thank you so much for your feedback and overlooking my chart. So this was definitely super helpful. Thank you so much for doing this.
Okay, no problem.
And
I'll just recap quickly the things that I
sure,
find that's beneficial. So
sure.
there's a psychological issue of neither being right or something along those lines that you need to work on. Some
Mm.
solutions for that is potentially hard stops, reducing your stop, and the other one is
Mm.
mentally being disgusted if you try to top tick. If that's your issue, try to
Right,
negate that. Another thing
right,
you should improve upon is your when you recap, write down your risk, your reward, where your risk was and where your thing was, and then also grade yourself how you did.
right,
And
right,
and the third thing, just do a lot more trader review, and that's all. And I'm sure I said some other stuff, but brain's fried right now.
right.
So, all right, brotherhood. Hope it
Yes, sir.
was
Thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate it.
no problem.
I look forward to actually talking to you again. But yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity, man. Thank you so much for taking the time to actually get in touch with
Anytime.
me.
I am more than happy that I hope it made a difference, even if it
Yes,
didn't.
it definitely did.
I
It,
thank you for your time.
it's always good to hear feedback from someone who's like really who's been in this game for a much longer time. So thank you so much for pointing these mistakes out. I will definitely try to work on these,
And
and hopefully, but next time when I meet, hopefully we don't have the same issues. Yeah.
and that's it's okay to have that issues, by the way. And I have multiple flaws as well. Like I make shitloads of mistakes as well. So don't feel you are alone. It's common what you go through. All right, brother.
Right.
Have a good
Take care,
weekend.
buddy.
Really good
You
talking
too.
to you. Take care, man. See you.
Take care, buddy. Likewise. Have a good one, buddy. Bye.
Holy moly, ravioli, guys. If you guys like this long talk, uh, click subscribe, notification bell on, but most important of all, share it with somebody that you enjoyed it with. And if you like this I'm thinking maybe a podcast because some of these things are really long. Let me know. Happy to do it. Um, Stay tuned. I am gonna upload another one in a day or two. And low key, high key, whatever key you want. I've done this for like 6 hours, 5 hours straight. So I feel a little burned out. So make sure to share with somebody that it benefits. Take care, guys. See ya.